Hello everybody, and welcome to this video where I am guiding you through my Wintertide junk journal slash grimoire slash art inspiration. So I have been working on this for about a year now actually. So I started this journal in the first couple of weeks of January, and it began as a way for me to savour all the beautiful wrapping paper and cards that I had received over the Christmas period. And I always keep everything anyway. Keep all the bits of paper, I keep the gift tags, I keep all the bits of ribbon, and everything kind of just stays kept in, various boxes and various drawers throughout the house. And suddenly in January I thought I really need to start making use of these things so that I can continue to enjoy them and continue to receive the inspiration from all these like beautiful textures and patterns and imagery. So yeah, about a year I've been working on and off on this journal, and it's not really finished. I don't think it will ever be finished. The whole idea is that it is to be continuously added to, but it's certainly somewhere now where I can share it with you and talk you through it. So the front cover of this journal was made with an Amazon package. So the cardboard, one of those flat cardboard containers, and then I've wrapped it in fabric, and then I've sewed bits of magazine, this beautiful owl that's from an old Earthpathways diary, and then these wonderful flattened mince pie tins. So these are wonderful to work with, really easy to sew because the metal is so thin. So those were hand sewn onto here, and then we open her up. I'll move my crystals out of the way. Okay. So, and again, this was something, so I used to go to Comic-Cons every year, haven't been for a while, and I really enjoyed going at the Comic-Cons that were usually around November, so there would be a lot of sort of festive stuff, and I always really loved, there's an aisle that you would have all the independent artists that would be there selling their work, selling their comics, selling their prints, and I fell in love with this artist's work. So this is a Christmas card from Anya Uren. I'll put the link to her work in the notes underneath the video. And this Christmas card has sat in a box for years, and I knew that I didn't want to send it to anyone. I wanted to keep the card because it's so beautiful, but I haven't really done anything with it, and so I finally found a home for this beautiful image, and so I've cut this out as like a little tag, and then the other part of the card is I've used to write one of my favourite quotes about winter by Patricia Monahan. So the other side of the Amazon packaging, I just painted with some house paint, actually some leftover wall paint, and gave that a light wash, and then have used some acrylic markers to create some stars for the background. Okay, and then this feels really lovely to touch, so I'm really enjoying using the sewing machine to sew over the top of wrapping paper, particularly this kind of paper where it's metallic because it can't be recycled. And I love this kind of paper, I have to admit. I like the shiny Christmas paper. I know it is not eco-friendly, but I try where possible to reuse the paper that people have given me that's like this, because it's very, very satisfying, and it really does kind of cheer up this grey time of year. So that's been used as a background. And then I've created this little pocket. This is an old Christmas card. And so I'm hoping to have a few more than just one book here. This is the book Wintering by Catherine May. But I will continue to cut out some books from magazines and place them into this little pocket. And then here is a black ink moon that I created with some white masking fluid and some black ink. And it didn't take me very long. I think I had some ink left from another project, and so just quickly drew this moon with the masking fluid and then gave it a light wash of ink, and then you rub the masking fluid off and it creates this really beautiful effect here. Some more wrapping paper, again glitzy glitzy hair wrapping paper from last year. And then this is a page here that I'd actually worked on a couple of years ago in a sketchbook, and again just wasn't really going to any use. I was experimenting with watercolours and stamps, and then taking felt and magazine pages and stitching them on the machine. And so that was really nice to take that out of the sketchbook and bring it into this book here. So more glorious wrapping paper. Again, the delightfully shiny stuff here, and more of the hair and houses here. And I really liked this quote from something I must have been listening to last January. It said about this time of year being a time to listen to the things you can't usually hear. And I thought that was really interesting, because winter is meant to be a quiet time of year, very different to the noise that we are exposed to in the summer months, and a real opportunity to listen to yourself, your thoughts, your dreams, your wishes. And I wanted to remember that. So I've written that over the top again of some wrapping paper there. Here it says, this is magazine cuttings about the season, I think perhaps from Landscape magazine. It says, there is no season that casts a fairy tale spell on the landscape quite as much as winter. Whether it's a coating of frost, sunlight cutting across a field of glinting snow, or the discovery of a waterfall stopped in its flow as crackling cold turns its frothing cascades to ice-white sculptures. There is a magical quality at this time of year, and everything has a clarity against that vivid blue of the sky that is simply lost at other times of year. I've then got a little pocket here for a little bit about mistletoe. So I've got some more mistletoe information to go into this little pocket. I found a little bit more in another magazine, and this beautiful wrapping paper that my parents got me last year that was covered in this gorgeous mistletoe design. Okay, so the next page here has a few things going on. So I've got a little pocket here for my winter oracles. Now, something that I found really helpful last year was to sit down after Christmas and really think about the things that had gone well and some of the things that hadn't, you know, some of the ways in which I felt like the time could have been a little bit kinder, a little bit more spacious, a little bit more restful. And so I decided to sit down with magazines, with Christmas paper, with Christmas cards, and create some cards to remind me of those feelings and those thoughts and those reflections from last year. And I have to say, it was a real joy getting these back out again in the lead up to Christmas and reminding myself of some of these things that I had realised last year. So we've got relaxing in cozy corners, and I love the background of this fabric wreath. Find a calm corner. Curl up in an armchair or on your bed with a cozy blanket. Create a sanctuary for yourself. Yes, please. And then here, this is an interesting one. Question your Christmas. If things aren't working, stop doing them. Let go of wanting things to be perfect and just enjoy yourself. It can be very liberating. So this was a huge revelation for me last year, just how much my Christmas had become about other people. And of course, Christmas is such a, big-hearted time of year. It's a generous time of year. So I'm not saying I think, it should be not like that and not about others. But sometimes we get lost in that, and it can become all about what other people want to do and other people's traditions. And I just got the sense last year I really do want to start creating some of our own as a little family, and including myself in the generosity of this time of year. So on the other side here, and this is from a magazine called Mindful Christmas, this can be a great time to set new intentions. Question your Christmas. If things aren't working, stop doing them. Start new traditions. Spend as little or as long as you want celebrating. Do something different. Don't do anything at all. So yeah, very, very helpful card. Hibernating in winter, very important. And some beautiful, I think, rowan berries on the back there. Dream, escape into a fantasy, enchantment in the quiet of twilight. And look, I need to finish that one. It doesn't have a back. The darkness will end and the light will return. Need to finish the back of that one as well. Here we go. Another reflection from Mindful Christmas magazine. Can you imagine a Christmas where you feel better afterwards, not worse? A more balanced Christmas, which still celebrated all the good things, but left you feeling nourished rather than knackered? Yes, please. What if you could reinvent the season? What if you could step away from all the pressure and the expectations? So I think, this one, I think I need to finish the back of this one. So this one says home. I really enjoy these decanters, and I did actually buy one of these for my husband a few years ago. So part of this is a reminder for me to get the decanters out. Calm down your calendar. This is one that I actually made this year because despite all my intentions from last year, things had started to get a little busy again. I was like, okay, let's remember, calm it down. You don't need to do it all. Winter is a time to be cozy, drink and think. And then the last one here, be your own best friend, practice self-compassion. So again, that was in relation to me feeling last year like I was prioritizing everybody but myself, and to remember to be compassionate. So on the back of this is a little bit about the full moon for January, which is the wolf moon, the stay home moon, and the moon after Yule. Well, there's just a few of its names. It has many more. Here, delightful dressing gown that I thought would make a really nice background for this spell. A spell for the stay home moon, which is from the book A Spell in the Wild by Alice Tarbuck. On the other side here, so this was actually from a colouring book that I had, and I coloured this in with some new metallic watercolours that I treated myself to from the Whittick Manor gift shop, and that was a real joy to paint that and colour that in. And then I've got another little bit here, I think was maybe from Simple Things magazine, about feathering your nest, how to make your home your sanctuary. Turning the page here, a little bit of a collage to do with hygge, so the coziness of this time of year. It says here, be still, go within, and draw forth the priceless treasures within you. I then got a quote from one of my favourite books, Wintering, by Catherine May. The changes that take place in winter are a kind of alchemy and enchantment performed by ordinary creatures to survive. Dormice laying on fat to hibernate, swallows navigating to South Africa. Another little page here, I don't know if you can see this so well. There we go, it's a bit better. This is a little recipe section here for some stem ginger shortbread. So I've taken the recipe cards, I've covered them in wrapping paper and created a little felt pocket for them there. And on the other side, it's another nice image of greenery and those beautiful colours for this time of year. And then here I've created a pocket with a Christmas card, and this was such a beautiful Christmas card. I just didn't want to recycle it and lose it. So I've cut this out along the edge and created a pocket here, which has got a very delightful fly agaric mushroom and some really nice wrapping paper on the back there. The background for this is a piece of calico fabric that, again, I was just experimenting with felt tip pens and stamps and sewing and felt, and that created a really nice bit of texture there. So on this side, this is all about slow stitching. So I found this in a landscape magazine, and it says here, spools of plain ribbon left over from the festivities and vintage scraps of fabric from past projects have been upcycled to create decorative strips, perfect for use in wrapping gifts. I was so inspired by this. I don't know if you can see them very well, but I just thought they were so delightful. And so I spent a very happy afternoon slow stitching some ribbon that I'd had around a present with some sequins as well. And this is just a sample of that, but I did quite a long piece that I'm going to use this year for my gift wrapping. On the other side is actually a piece of kitchen roll that I'd used for some painting, and so I've done a lot of slow stitching there. I find it so calming and therapeutic, and so that kind of accompanies that nice winter crafting. Again, a little bit more collage here to do with the early plants that start to arrive kind of late January, early February, the crocuses, and I love those colours like the purples and the very pale greens. Some more craft inspiration. So this is all about painting candles. I'm hoping to have a little go at that this year, and then the instructions on the other side there. I then have some of my own paintings of hellebores, which are my favourite winter flower. I absolutely love them. I've got one in every colour in the garden, and so I painted these with gouache, and then I've just kind of laminated it to protect the painting. There's a little bit of folklore and information about hellebore on the back, and then some goddesses here. So these images are from some old magazines that I had when I was getting married called Rock and Roll Bride, and some of the brides had had winter weddings, and I thought that she looked like Mother Winter, Frau Holly, absolutely gorgeous. And then here, again, from a fashion magazine, I think this was, and then another winter wedding there. A little bit here about the winter solstice. So I created a pocket, again, with a Christmas card that I just didn't want to part with. It was so beautiful. And then this pulls out some information, like a bookmark, about the winter solstice. And that completes the end, but not the end really, of my junk journal winter grimoire. Oh no, hang on, I'm missing a page. I'm missing here. I'm missing. I knew I was missing a page. So we have got embossed foil decorations. So this is actually suggested to do with some embossing foil. But these work really well with mince pie tins, I've discovered, thanks to lots of people on Instagram sharing them doing this. So I've created these with mince pie tins. I don't know how long lasting they would be, because I think they kind of, if you're not careful, they kind of flatten out once again. But they're very effective, very sweet, and a really nice way to recycle mince pie tins. And then on the last page here, I've got a picture of a doorway, and the doorway into the new year. So I knew I was forgetting something. That is the official end, but not the end of my Wintertide grimoire journal. And as I said, I will more than likely add to it, but really wanted to share this with you. It's been an absolute labour of love as I've been working on this the last year. And it is my intention to do one of these for each of the seasons, if not one for each of the Wheel of the Year celebrations. That might be a bit too ambitious. I could at least do one for each of the seasons. But yeah, I really hope that you've enjoyed my journey through this. And if it gives you any inspiration, I would love to see what you come up with. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.